The wind howled across the frozen surface of Kairos 7 like a hungry beast. Ice crystals danced in the air, sharp enough to cut through metal. The planet had been locked in winter for 1,000 years, and the cold here could kill in minutes. Commander. Veltar stood in the warm control room of the Velkari research station. His blue skin was pale with worry. Through the thick windows, he watched the endless white wasteland stretch to the horizon. This was the third week without contact from Team 7. "Sir," came a voice behind him. Dr. Namara, the station's chief scientist, held a datapad in her clawed hands. The search drones found them. Veltar turned slowly. He already knew what she would say, "All dead, sir." Frozen solid. Their suits failed just like the others. The commander's jaw tightened. That made 15 good Velkari soldiers lost to this cursed ice world. 15 of the Empire's best, all killed by simple cold. How is this possible? Veltar slammed his fist on the control panel. Our environmental suits are the most advanced in the galaxy. They should protect against any weather. Dr. Namara's ears flattened against her head. The cold here is different, sir. It finds ways through our technology. The suits work fine on other worlds, but Kairos 7. It's like the planet fights back. Through the speakers, another voice crackled. "Control, this is Team 4. Our heating units are acting up again. We need to return to base." Veltar grabbed the communicator. "Negative, Team 4. You just started. Your mission 2 hours ago."
Sir.
"With respect, my suit is reading minus 90 degrees outside. The backup heater just died. If we stay out here much longer, fine." Veltar threw the communicator down. "Bring them back." Dr. Namara watched her commander pace back and forth. She had never seen him this frustrated. Veltar was known throughout the Empire as a problem solver. He had conquered 12 worlds for the Velkari, but this frozen rock was beating him. "Sir," she said quietly, "maybe we should consider other options." "What other options?" "We've tried everything. Better suits. Stronger heaters? Different routes? Nothing works. This planet kills everything we send out there." "Not everything, sir." Veltar stopped pacing. "What do you mean?" Dr. Namara pulled up a file on her datapad. "I've been reading reports about a species called humans. They come from a world with extreme weather. Ice, snow, terrible storms. But they survive it all." The commander's eyes narrowed. "Humans. Those primitive creatures from the Outer Rim. They're not as primitive as we thought, sir. Look at these reports." She showed him the screen. "They survived on worlds where our best equipment failed. They don't use advanced suits or heating systems. They use ... simple methods." Veltar looked at the data, images of humans in thick clothes walking through snow, humans building fires, humans living in ice caves. It looked so basic, so crude. "You want me to ask these?" "Animals ... for help, sir? We need those ice crystals. The energy readings are off the charts. If we can harvest them, it could power our entire fleet for years. But we can't even get close to the crystal fields. Every team we send dies." The commander stared out at the frozen landscape. Somewhere out there, buried under tons of ice, were crystals worth more than entire star systems. The Velkari Empire needed that energy. War with the Zephyrians was draining their resources, but asking humans for help? It was embarrassing. The Velkari had ruled space for 3,000 years. They had technology that could destroy planets. And now, they needed help from creatures who still used fire to stay warm. "The High Council won't like this," Veltar muttered. "High Council wants results, sir. They don't care how we get 'em." Team 4's ship landed outside with a loud thump. Through the window, Veltar watched for Velkari soldiers stumble out. Even with their advanced suits, they moved like they were freezing. One of them fell and had to be helped up.
Long have
"Humans been dealing with cold like this?" Veltar asked. "According to the files, thousands of years, sir. It's natural to them. They evolved in it." The commander was quiet for a long time. Finally, he sighed. "Send the message. Ask for a human team." Dr. Nimra's ears perked up. "Really, sir? We have no choice. But make it clear, this is temporary." Once we get those crystals, the humans go home, yes, sir. What should I tell them about payment? Give them whatever they want. If they can do what our best soldiers cannot, they'll have earned it. Dr. Namara began typing the message. As she worked, Veltar continued staring out. At the frozen wasteland, the pride of the Velkari Empire reduced to begging help from primitive aliens. If word of this got out, he would be laughed at across the galaxy. But 15 good soldiers were dead. The mission was failing, and somewhere in that endless ice were crystals that could change the war. Message sent, sir, Dr. Nimura reported. I explained our situation and requested immediate assistance. How long until they respond? Human space is 12 days away at maximum speed. If they agreed to help, we could have a team here in 2 weeks. Veltar nodded grimly. 2 more weeks of waiting while the ice crystals sat out there, unreachable. 2 more weeks of feeling like a failure? Sir? Dr. Nimura's voice was hesitant. What if the humans can't help either? What if the cold kills them too? The commander turned from the window. For the first time in weeks, he almost smiled. Doctor, if these humans die like our soldiers, then at least we'll know this planet cannot be conquered. But if they succeed, paused. If they succeed, then maybe we Valkyrie have something to learn. Outside, the wind continued to howl. The temperature was dropping again as Kairos 7's distant sun set behind thick clouds. In a few hours, it would be cold enough to freeze metal. Somewhere in the galaxy, a message was traveling through space at light speed. A call for help from the proud Velkari Empire to a species they had always considered beneath them. Soon, humans would come to this frozen world, and everything would change. The ice crystals waited in the endless white as they had for 1,000 years. But for the first time since the Velkari arrived, there was hope that someone might actually reach them. The humans were coming too. Kairos 7. The real test was about to begin. 2 weeks later, a ship appeared in Kairos 7's gray sky. It was not what Commander Veltar expected. The human vessel was small and ugly. Its hull was covered in scratches and dents. Black smoke came from one engine as it landed near the Valkyria station. The ground shook and ice cracked under its weight. That's their ship? Veltar asked, watching from the control room window. It looks like it might fall apart. Dr. Namara checked her sensors. The ship is old, sir, but it's still flying. That says something about human engineering. The ship's door opened with a loud hiss. 3 figures stepped out into the freezing wind. Veltar expected to see them run for shelter immediately. Instead, they stood calmly in the -70 cold and looked around. The humans wore thick, layered clothes instead of environmental suits. Their faces were covered except for their eyes. They moved easily, as if the deadly cold meant nothing to them. Interesting, Dr. Nimura murmured, taking notes. The lead human walked toward the station. His steps were steady and sure on the ice. Behind him, the other 2 began unloading boxes from their ship. They worked without hurry, even though the wind could freeze flesh in minutes. Veltar went to meet them at the airlock. When the door opened, cold air rushed in that made every Valkyrie in the room step back. The human walked through it like it was a pleasant breeze. He pulled down his face, revealing dark eyes and wind-burned skin. I'm Hyun-Woo Kim, he said in accented galactic standard. Thermal engineer. My team is here to help. Veltar tried not to show his disappointment. The human was shorter than most Valkyrie and looked fragile. His equipment was simple. No advanced computers or energy weapons. Just tools that looked handmade. I am Commander Veltar. Thank you for coming, though I must warn you. This planet has killed 15 of our best soldiers. Hyun-Woo nodded calmly.
We read your reports. Your soldiers died because they fought.
The cold? We work with it. Work with it. Veltar frowned. I don't understand, you will. The human looked around the station. First, we need to see where your people died. Learn from their mistakes. The other 2 humans entered the airlock. The woman pulled off her hood, showing short black hair and intelligent eyes. Sora Park, xenobiologist. She introduced herself. The man was younger, with calloused hands and grease on his clothes. Gin Ho Lee, pilot and mechanic. Dr. Namara stepped forward eagerly. Dr. Namara, chief scientist. I've been studying your species' cold adaptation. Fascinating stuff. Sarah smiled, happy to share what we know. But first, show us the problem areas. Veltar led them to the briefing room. On the big screen, he showed maps of where each team had died. Red X marks scattered across the white landscape like drops of blood. Here, here, and here, he pointed. All different locations. All different weather conditions. But the result was always the same. Hyenwu studied the map quietly. Your people went out during storms? Sometimes. We have deadlines. The High Council expects results. Storms are when the planet tries hardest to kill you, Jinho said. On my homeworld, we have a saying, when the wind screams, smart people. Hide! Veltar felt insulted. Our soldiers are not cowards. Not cowards, Sora said gently. Just not adapted. Your species evolved on warm worlds. This cold is like poison to you. She moved to the window and breathed on the glass. Her warm breath fogged it up. See, my body makes heat even in small ways. Your bodies don't know how. Dr. Nimura leaned forward. But your clothing, it's so simple. Our suits have power sources, heating coils, computer systems. Which all fail, Hyenwu said. Complex things break. Simple things last. He opened one of the boxes his team had brought. Inside were thick coats, boots, gloves, and strange-looking tools. Everything looked handmade and rough. This coat has 7 layers, he explained, holding up a heavy jacket. Each layer traps air. Air is the best insulator. It's better than any machine. Ginho pulled out what looked like a small metal box. Hand warmer. He put special stones inside, they make heat. For 12 hours. No batteries, no electronics, just chemistry. Veltar picked up one of the tools. It was heavy and crude looking. What does this do? Dig's Ice Hyenwu said simply. When machines freeze, muscle still works. The commander wanted to laugh. These primitive tools against the most hostile planet in the sector seemed impossible. I appreciate your confidence, he said carefully. But perhaps you don't understand how dangerous Cairo 7 really is. We understand, Sora said. That's why we brought these. She opened another box full of strange items. Thick ropes, metal, spikes, what looked like dried food. Emergency shelter, she explained. If we get trapped, we can survive 3 days with these supplies. Can your suits do that? Dr. Nimura's ears dropped. No. Our suits die in 6 hours if the power fails. Then your suits are not survival tools, Ginho said. They're just fancy clothes. Veltar felt his temper rising. These fancy clothes represent centuries of Velkari engineering. They don't work here, Hyenwu said bluntly. Good engineering adapts to conditions. Bad engineering ignores them. Before Veltar could respond angrily, an alarm sounded. The station's communication officer called over the speakers. Commander, Team 3 is requesting emergency return. Their suits are malfunctioning in Sector 7. Radio, Team 3, report. The voice that came back was shaky with cold. Sir, our heating units failed 20 minutes ago. We're losing body heat fast. Permission to abort mission and return immediately? Granted. Turn at once. Hyenwu was already putting on his thick coat, or his Sector 7, about 15 kilometers north. Why, your people might not make it back. The cold moves fast once it gets inside their suits. The human was checking his equipment. We should go help them. Veltar stared. You want to go out there? In this weather? To save people you've never met? That's what we do, Sarah said, also getting dressed. Humans help each other survive. Jin. It was already heading for the airlock. Besides, this will be good practice. You can see how bad the cold really gets. Within 5 minutes, the humans were ready to leave. They carried simple packs and basic tools. No environmental suits, no powered heating, no advanced electronics. This is insane, Veltar muttered, watching them prepare to step into weather. That had killed trained soldiers. Hyenwu paused at the airlock door. Commander, when we bring your people back alive, maybe you'll understand. Sometimes old ways work better than new ones. The door opened, and the 3 humans walked out into the howling wind. They moved confidently across the ice, their thick clothes flapping, but keeping them warm. Dr. Namara watched them disappear into the white storm. "Sir, what if they die too?" Veltar was quiet for a moment. "Then we'll know even humans can't survive this place." He trailed off, not wanting to finish the thought. If they succeeded, it would mean everything the Valkyrie believed about survival was wrong. The humans were small dots moving across the endless ice, heading toward danger to save people they barely knew. Against all logic, Veltar found himself hoping they would make it. The real test had begun. 2 hours passed without word from the humans or Team 3. Commander Veltar paced the control room like a caged animal. The storm outside was getting worse. "Any signal?" he asked for the 10th time. Dr. Nimura shook her head. "The storm is blocking all communications. We can't reach anyone out there." Suddenly, the main power flickered. The lights dimmed, then came back on. Then they flickered again. "What's happening?" Veltar demanded. The station engineer, a young Valkyrie named Tekavor, looked panicked. "Sir, the storm is overloading our power grid. Ice is building up on the energy collectors outside. The lights went out completely. Emergency power kicked in, bathing everything in red light. The heating system made a grinding noise and stopped." "How long do we have?" Veltar asked. "Maybe for hours on emergency power, sir. After that, ... Tekavor's voice trailed off. "After that, they would all freeze to death." Dr. Nimura checked her instruments. Temperature in the station is already dropping. It's minus 10 degrees and falling fast. Through the red emergency lighting, Veltar could see his breath forming clouds. The Valkyrie crew began shivering. Their thin skin and lean bodies were not made for cold. "Can we fix the main power?" Veltar asked. Tekavor looked terrified. "Someone would have to go outside and clear the ice from the collectors. But in this storm, in environmental suits that are already failing, ... it was a death sentence." Everyone knew it. That's when they heard a sound outside, voices calling through the wind. The airlock door opened and figures stumbled inside. It was Team 3, carried between the 3 humans. The Valkyrie soldiers were barely conscious. Their lips were blue and their suits were covered in ice. But they were alive. Medical bay. "Now," Sora shouted, supporting one of the frozen soldiers. As the medical team took the survivors away, Hyenwu looked around at the red emergency lighting and shivering Valkyrie crew. "Power failure?" he asked calmly. "Main systems are down," Veltar explained. "We have maybe 4 hours before we all freeze." Ginho was already taking off his pack. "We can fix this. But we need materials." "The collectors are outside," Tekavor said. "Someone would have to clear tons of ice in the middle of the storm." "It's impossible." "Not impossible," Hyenwu said. "Difficult. It's a difference." He began pulling strange items from his pack. Metal tools, coils of rope, and small containers that smelled like chemicals. "First, we warm the station without power," he announced. "Sora, start gathering the crew in the main hall. Jinho, help me set up thermal zones." "Thermal zones?" Dr. Namara asked, still taking notes even while shivering. "Body heat sharing," Sora explained, guiding shaking Valkyrie toward the center of the station. "Humans learned this thousands of years ago. When the fire dies, you huddle together." Within minutes, the humans had organized the entire crew into a tight group in the station's central room. They used thick blankets and salvaged materials to create walls that trapped warm air. "Everyone sit close together," Hyenwu instructed. "Share body heat. Valkyrie here, humans there, mixed groups for maximum warmth transfer." Dr. Namara found herself sitting between Ginho and a Valkyrie engineer. At first, it felt strange. As their combined body heat began warming the small space, she understood. "It's working," she whispered in amazement.
"Oh."
"The temperature is rising." "Old knowledge," Sora said, wrapping a blanket around 2 shivering Valkyrie soldiers. When you can't make heat, you keep the heat you have. While his teammates organized the warming effort, Hyenwu prepared for the dangerous work outside. tied ropes around his waist, and checked his tools. "I'll clear the ice from the collectors," he announced. "Jinho, stay here and keep everyone warm. Sirrah, monitor the Valkyrie for hypothermia." Veltar stood up. "Can't go out there alone. It's suicide." "Not alone," Hyunwoo said, pointing. "To the rope. You'll anchor me from inside. If something goes wrong, pull me back." The human walked to the airlock like he was going for a casual walk. As the door opened, freezing wind roared into the station. Ice crystals flew through the air like bullets. Hyunwoo stepped into the storm and disappeared. For the next hour, the crew huddled together and waited. The rope jerked and moved as Hyunwoo outside in conditions that would kill most beings in minutes. Dr. Nimra watched Ginho and Sora work with quiet efficiency. They moved from person to person, checking for signs of freezing, adjusting blankets, sharing their own body heat with the coldest Valkyrie. "Why do you help us?" she asked Sora quietly. "We called you primitive. We looked down on you," Sora smiled sadly. "Because that's what humans do. We help others survive even when they don't deserve it." Suddenly, the lights flickered on. The heating system hummed back to life. Warm air began flowing through the vents. The airlock opened, and Hyunwoo stumbled. Inside, covered in ice but grinning, power's back online. "Collectors are clear." The crew cheered weakly. As warmth returned to the station, the Valkyrie began to understand what had happened. 3 humans had saved an entire station full of advanced aliens using nothing but old knowledge and courage. The next morning brought terrible news. Long-range sensors detected a massive ice storm approaching, bigger than anything Cairo 7 had seen in decades. It would hit the station in 6 hours. "Evacuation?" Veltar asked hopefully. Jinho shook his head. "No ships can fly in weather like that. We're stuck here for at least 3 days." Tekover ran computer models and grew pale. "Sir, this storm will overwhelm all our systems. Even with repairs, we can't survive 3 days of that fury." The Valkyrie crew began to panic. They had seen what smaller storms could do. This one would be like facing the anger of an ice god. But the humans remained calm. "We've handled worse," Hyunwoo said simply. "But we'll need everyone to work together." "Work together how?" Veltar demanded. "What can we possibly do against a storm that big?" "We become the storm's enemy," Sora explained. "We make this station into a fortress that the cold cannot break." Over the next few hours, the humans transformed the Valkyrie research station. They moved everyone into the central areas and blocked off unnecessary rooms. They created layers of insulation using blankets, clothing, and salvaged materials. Jinho rigged backup heating systems using simple chemistry and metal containers. "Chemical heat packs," he explained to fascinated Valkyrie engineers. "They burn without fire and work when electricity fails." Sora organized the crew into warming teams. Every hour, 2 people exercise while others rest. Movement makes heat. Heat keeps us alive. Hyunwoo created what he called human heating networks, scheduled rotations where people shared body warmth in carefully planned groups. "This is incredible," Dr. Nimara whispered, watching the preparations. "You're turning survival into a science." "Not science," Sara corrected.
At
Instinct. Humans have been surviving together for thousands of years.
We know how to be each other's warmth. When the storm hit, it was worse than predicted. Wind screamed around the station like a living thing trying to tear it apart.
The temperature outside dropped to minus 120 degrees. The main power failed again within the first hour. But this time, the station was ready. The humans had created a survival cocoon in the station's heart. Thick walls of insulation held in body heat. Chemical warmers provided steady heat without electricity. The crew worked in shifts, some exercising to generate warmth, others resting in carefully arranged heat-sharing groups. Veltar found himself lying between Hyunwoo and another Valkyrie soldier, sharing warmth like animals in a burrow. At first, his pride rebelled. But as the hours passed and the storm raged, he began to understand. "You knew this would happen," he said to Hyunwoo during a quiet moment. "We knew something would happen," the human replied. "Survival means preparing for the worst and hoping for the best." "But how? Your methods are so simple." Hyun-woo smiled in the dim light of the chemical heaters. Complex things break under pressure. Simple things bend and survive. Humans learned that lesson long ago. Throughout the 3-day storm, the humans never stopped working. They monitored everyone for signs of hypothermia. They led exercise sessions to keep blood flowing. They told stories and jokes to keep spirits up. Most importantly, they shared their own warmth freely, even when it meant being colder themselves. Dr. Namara watched it all with growing wonder. "They're giving us their own body heat," she whispered to Veltar, "even when they need it themselves." "Yes," Veltar replied quietly. "That's what makes them different from us." By the second day, even the proudest Velkari soldiers were following human instructions without question. When Sora said exercise time, they exercised. When Jinho said huddle closer, they huddled. When Hyun-woo said share warmth, they shared. The humans had become their leaders not through force or technology, but through proven ability to keep everyone alive. On the third morning, the storm finally ended. The station's power came back online, and rescue ships appeared in the clearing sky. But something fundamental had changed. As the Valkyrie crew prepared to leave Cairo 7, they moved differently. They worked together like they had learned during the storm. They checked on each other constantly, making sure no one was too cold. Commander Veltar called the 3 humans to his office before departure. "I owe you an apology," he said formally, "and my life. All our lives." Hyun-woo waved dismissively. "You don't owe us anything. We just did what needed doing." "No," Veltar insisted. "You did what we could not. You succeeded where our best. Technology failed." He paused, choosing his words carefully. "I want to offer you permanent positions with the Valkyrie Empire. Advisory roles in extreme environment operations." Sora smiled. "We're honored, but we're just 3 people. What you really need is to change how your species thinks about survival." Dr. Namara stepped forward eagerly. "I've been documenting everything. The heating networks, the body warmth sharing, the simple tools that work when complex ones fail. Could you teach these methods to others?" Of course, Jinho laughed. "Humans love sharing knowledge, especially knowledge that saves lives." 6 months later, Commander Veltar stood before the Galactic Council. The chamber was filled with representatives from dozens of species, listening as he described the Cairo 7 incident. "The humans saved us," he said simply. "Not with advanced weapons or superior technology. They saved us with wisdom older than our civilization. They shared their warmth, literally and figuratively, with beings who had called them primitive." He gestured to a screen showing images from the storm. Valkyrie and humans huddled together, sharing body heat and survival techniques. "We learned that true advancement isn't about having the most complex technology. It's about adapting to any challenge and helping others do the same." The council chamber was silent as Veltar continued. "I recommend immediate establishment of joint human Valkyrie survival training programs. We have much to learn from a species we foolishly underestimated." In the audience, Hyun-woo, Sora, and Ginho sat with the new Human Valkyrie Joint Advisory Committee. Around them sat Valkyrie, who had survived the storm, including Dr. Namara, now the galaxy's first expert in human survival methodology. As the council voted unanimously to approve the survival programs, Sora leaned over to her teammates. "Think they finally understand?" she whispered. Ginho grinned. "They understand that humans make good neighbors in a cold universe." Hyun-woo nodded, watching Valkyrie and humans working together in the council chamber. "Sometimes the best warmth comes from helping others survive. That's a lesson worth teaching." The vote was unanimous. Across the galaxy, the word spread. Humans were the masters of survival, not because they had the best technology, but because they had something more valuable: the wisdom to work together and the courage to share their warmth with anyone who ever needed it. On Cairo 7, the ice crystals still waited in the frozen wastes. But now, human Valkyrie teams were successfully harvesting them, using techniques that combined alien technology with human survival wisdom. The frozen world that had killed so many had become a symbol of cooperation between species. And in the galaxy's coldest places, Beings of all kinds learned to share the most human gift of all, the warmth that comes from helping others survive.